Hello YouTube, Sean Johnson here, and you are watching More Than First Person Shooters, episode number 1. Yes, well, today we are going to be reviewing a game by the name of, and forgive my faulty pronunciation for this, but the full name is Kuru Kuru Kururin. Now, can you guess what country this is from? Yeah, well, the Japanese, let's just say they have some interesting titles for some of their games. Anyhow, I think for short I will call it Kururin, opposed to KKK, as not a very flattering acronym, for obvious reasons. Okay, well, now that I've insulted and lost half my audience, let us begin the review of Kururin. Okay, so what exactly is Kururin about? Well, it starts out in your average nobody really gives a crap storyline. In this case, you are a bird by the name of, I can't really remember to be honest, I think it's the name Kururin. Anyhow, one day his brothers go missing, so, like any true hero, you must go find them. In this case, his mother, I think it was, something like that, asks him to do so. So anyhow, he sets out on this journey in his super cool spaceship, which, might I add, strikingly resembles a baton, so I will refer to it as a baton from now on. And he must traverse through a bunch of crazy obstacles in order to reach the goal and rescue his brothers along the way. Fascinating, right? Anyhow, so your main controls in this game would be the directional pad to control where the ship goes. And if you want a little power boost along the way to go faster, you got the A button. And if you want to go insanely fast and most likely hit every single wall along the way, you can certainly use the A and the B button at the same time to go even faster. So, what are the good aspects of this game? Well, after playing it and collecting all the extra goodies that they have to offer, I discovered that it's actually a really good game. A lot of good things can be said about it. For instance, I think that's a really neat concept. I really don't think that the gaming industry then had the problems as it does now. For instance, I think now that the main issue is the lack of variety in games. You see a bunch of Call of Duty clones and first-person shooters out the wazoo. But back then, especially when it comes to puzzle games, you know, it was basically a similar gameplay that was the problem. I think a lot of it was Tetris, very similar to Tetris, and Collapse and stuff like that. You basically have a bunch of bricks or, you know, jewels to make it go away. But I think this concept was a lot different. It has a lot of focus on timing, and another interesting aspect that I've noticed is that, you know, in this game, you don't control every single aspect of your player. In this game, the baton moves on its own, and then you also have to move it yourself. So it's interesting. I never really played a game like that before, where your character also moves itself. So that's pretty cool. Also, I have to admire the excellent and very varied, it's kind of a mouthful to say, level design. For instance, one level has springs everywhere, so you can bounce around like an ADHD patient after 10 cups of coffee. That was pretty fun. You also have moving machines level, so you have to dodge all that. And finally, you have a level that was a bunch of cannons blasting at you. You had to go really fast and slow up parts to dodge them. It was really cool, and you know, I think this game really makes you use the baton in every way you can think of. I think it's really nice that they can get everything out of the control scheme that they can. You know, it's not just a bunch of going around one curve. Oh, and then we have another curve to go around. That's fun. So I think it's kind of hard to explain exactly what I'm talking about, but play the game, take my word for it, you won't be disappointed. I also have to admire the really smooth and natural controls. This game in particular, I don't think that you can really blame the game, as you wouldn't say like Mortal Kombat, or, you know, where in Mortal Kombat you try to do the ice beam move or the ice slide for Sub-Zero, and you're like, man, I could swear I inputted that button, but it just won't respond half the time. You don't know why. But no, in this game it's spot on. You know, another game I used to have an issue with that. I used to play Dance Dance Revolution all the time, believe it or not. And you know, it'd be frustrating because you could swear you'd step on an arrow. You're trying to get the AA or AAA, but it just don't work. But no, this game, you can blame yourself the whole entire time. Now that can lead to some frustration, but overall, it's a lot less frustrating than having it be the control's fault. Okay, so finally, I think that the difficulty is just spot on with this game. You know, it has a great curve. I think that at the beginning it's pretty easy. You can pretty much rush right through it. It's not too hard at all. But at the end of the game, I think it gets a lot harder. A lot harder. Believe it or not, I mean, this does not look like it would be a difficult game, but let me tell you, it is. And it starts at about the cake or dessert themed level. That's where it really starts picking up. like I said, I mean, it goes with the level design. It's really, every level is unique and different. You have to try different things. You know, it takes some levels take like 30 times to pass, so that was probably the maximum it'll get to. But yeah, it's a really great difficulty. And to extend your gameplay and give yourself an extra challenge, you can even collect all the extra stuff, which like I did. And that'll give you even more of a challenge, let me tell you. Alrighty then, let's get on to the bad aspects of this game. And you know what? It's a great game, I'd have to say. However, there's definitely some flaws in this game. For instance, I think the art direction in this game is way off. Okay, I was just talking about how great the difficulty was. You know, it's really hard, some levels 30 times dying. And then you look at the game, and you look at the menus, and you're like, is this meant for a 6-year-old? You have to ask yourself that. And, you know, it's kind of frustrating because you'd think that this game would sell well and it could make a lot more games, but no, it's because of the horrible menu and art design. I think that's a really big turnoff for a lot of hardcore gamers, if you will. I really don't like to use that term, but whatever. Casual gamers, you know, that'd probably turn them away too, because they really just judge a game by its title. But yeah, so I think that's one problem with the game. Another thing I think that could be fixed is the whole die and retry aspect. It's pretty frustrating. Like I said, I mean, I keep bringing this up, but 30 times for one level, let's be honest here, that gets a little frustrating. Especially if the problem is in one part of the level. You really don't get checkpoints. I mean, you do get checkpoints, but then if you die 3 times afterwards, I mean, that does sound like it's generous, but trust me, it's not. You can, because a lot of times you get stuck and you can die like, you know, 3, it could be a one hit, that's it. You basically get trapped in one little part of the wall and all of a sudden all 3 of your hearts are gone. Anyhow, I got off on a tangent here. So I think that's frustrating, how you have to keep going past the parts that you know you can do and you're trying to speed through it, and you know, you die trying to go too fast. It's pretty frustrating at times. And finally, I think that the game can get kind of boring after a while. Like, you know, some people like to sit down and play games for like 4 hours straight. That's not really me, so I didn't really have a problem with this, but I think you'll get kind of bored with it if you play it more than, I'd say, 45 minutes, an hour at one shot. As you can probably tell, despite its few shortcomings, I did indeed really enjoy this game. So, to give it a score, I would have to give it an 8.6 out of 10.